Policy 713 is an education policy that aims to protect and support LGBTQI2S+ students in New Brunswick's public schools. It was introduced in 2020 and sets minimum standards for creating a safe and inclusive learning environment for all students, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity. However, the policy has been under review by the provincial government since April 2023, following complaints from some parents and teachers about its content and implementation. The Education Minister, Bill Hogan, said the review was prompted by concerns about the age appropriateness of some aspects of the policy, such as allowing students to use their preferred name and pronoun, and to access gender-neutral washrooms and changing facilities. Some groups, including teachers, parents, and advocates, have criticized the review of Policy 713, saying it is unnecessary and potentially harmful to LGBTQI2S+ students. They argue that the policy is based on evidence and best practices, and that it reflects the human rights and needs of LGBTQI2S+ students. They also claim that the review process has been lacking in transparency and consultation with relevant stakeholders, such as LGBTQI2S+ organizations, educators, and students themselves. These groups fear that the review of Policy 713 could result in weakening or removing some of the protections and supports that the policy provides for LGBTQI2S+ students. They worry that this could undermine the educational outcomes and well-being of these students, who already face higher rates of bullying, discrimination, and mental health issues than their peers. They also warn that any changes to the policy could violate the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which guarantees equality and freedom from discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. Therefore, these groups are calling on the government to maintain Policy 713 as it is, or to strengthen it if possible. They are also urging the government to engage in meaningful dialogue with LGBTQI2S+ communities and experts before making any decisions about the policy. They believe that Policy 713 is a vital tool for ensuring a respectful and diverse education system that values and celebrates all students. Policy 713 is an education policy that sets minimum requirements for public schools and districts in New Brunswick to ensure a safe, welcoming, inclusive, and affirming school environment for all students, families, and allies who identify or are perceived as LGBTQI2S+. The policy covers various aspects of the school environment, such as school transportation, school documents, classroom instruction, and school communication. The policy also provides definitions of key terms related to sexual orientation and gender identity, such as cisgender, non-binary gender, and homophobia/transphobia. The policy was created after 10 years of development across 3 governments with information and experts who know kids and education. It was also heavily consulted with groups such as Pride in Education, PI, a provincial committee of teachers working to support LGBTQI2S+ inclusion. The policy was implemented in August 2020 and was widely praised by LGBTQI2S+ advocates and allies for being progressive and comprehensive. However, in April 2023, the New Brunswick Education Minister Bill Hogan announced that the policy would be reviewed after receiving complaints from some parents and teachers about the age appropriateness of some of the content. Hogan said that the review would include consultation with a variety of stakeholders, such as children, advocates, experts, and parents. He also said that the review would look at the role of parents in the public education system and what is the best way to support LGBTQI2S+ students. The review was expected to be completed by June. The announcement of the review sparked controversy and criticism from many LGBTQI2S+ groups and allies who feared that the policy would be weakened or removed altogether. They argued that the policy is essential for protecting the rights and well-being of LGBTQI2S+ students who face discrimination and harassment in schools. They also questioned why some of the groups that were involved in creating the policy, such as PI, Chroma NB, Fredericton Pride, and Imprint Youth, were not contacted by the province to be part of the consultation process. The potential impacts and implications of changing or removing Policy 713 for the LGBTQI2S+ community, and the education system in New Brunswick are significant and serious. Some of them are: changing or removing Policy 713 could send a message that LGBTQI2S+ students are not valued or respected in the school system and society at large. This could negatively affect their self-esteem, mental health, academic performance, and social relationships. Changing or removing Policy 713 could increase the risk of bullying, violence, harassment, and discrimination against LGBTQI2S+ students in schools. This could lead to physical and emotional harm, isolation, dropout, substance abuse, and suicide among LGBTQI2S+ youth. Changing or removing Policy 713 could undermine the efforts of teachers and educators who are trying to create inclusive and supportive learning environments for LGBTQI2S+ students. This could reduce their motivation, confidence, and professional development. Changing or removing Policy 713 could deprive LGBTQI2S+ students of important information and resources that they need to understand themselves and their identities. This could limit their opportunities for personal growth, self-expression, and civic engagement. Changing or removing Policy 713 could also affect other students who are not LGBTQI2S+, but who benefit from learning about diversity, acceptance, empathy, and human rights. This could reduce their social skills, critical thinking abilities, and global awareness. In conclusion, Policy 713 is a vital policy that aims to ensure a safe, welcoming, inclusive, and affirming school environment for all students, families, and allies who identify or are perceived as LGBTQI2S+. Changing or removing this policy could have detrimental impacts and implications for the LGBTQI2S+ community and the education system in New Brunswick. Therefore, it is important to preserve and strengthen this policy and to involve all relevant stakeholders in its review process.